Welcome to For Real. It's time to communicate and get real about relationships with your host, Liesel, Daisley, and psychologist, Krisnan. So join us for real. Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of For Real. I'm your host, Liesel Daisley, and joining me is psychologist and life coach, Krisnan. Welcome, Krisnan.
Thanks, Liesel.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, and it's good to be here once again. And welcome our viewers. What are we discussing today, Liesel?
Well, today I want to get your perspective on something in terms of how modern music and storybooks or novels even stuff like all these reality TV shows, how it has shaped our perspective of love. So tell me, has television and books and modern music really shaped how we view love?
Well, most certainly. I think it is well understood now that mass media and media, whether it is print, but especially television and music, it does have a significant impact on the psyche and the thinking of the people. And we know that when we watch movies, when we listen to music, people tend to act like or tend to mimic some of the behaviors, and they also begin to develop some of the expectations of the messages that they see in the movies and the messages that they hear in the music. We've heard of, in our Barbadian culture at least, how girls behave on the minivans and how, in some cases in relationships, people come to the relationships with certain expectations because this is how you do this thing, this is how you celebrate anniversaries, or this is how we do relationship. And it's most certainly because of the impressions and the images and the messages that have been seen in the media.
Yeah, that you're bombarded with, even on a daily basis, actually.
Yep, most definitely.
So like growing up, reading novels and watching animation, does that cause us when we become an adult now to romanticize this thing called love?
For sure. One thing that we don't necessarily recognize is that we only see the highlights when we watch these movies. We might see some short moments of challenges. Perhaps in the movie it started out with some kind of adversity, and then these people over in the space of 2 hours or hour and a half, they fall in love and they go happily ever after.
Yes.
But we don't necessarily see how they live out their day-to-day life. So how people do like bring flowers and how they spend their time together and what they do in celebrations, we only generally see the highlights. We don't necessarily see how it plays out on a day-to-day basis, and that can affect how our expectations in the relationship.
Yeah,
I've even worked with clients where the woman expected that this is how the man should treat her in a certain way. This is the flowers she expects. Roses, we don't grow many roses in Barbados.
No.
But she expects roses.
Wow.
And she expects chocolates for Valentine's, and she expects flowers to be sent to her workplace. But sometimes the little things he's doing, the cooking he's doing, the washing the clothes that he might be contributing, the other things he's doing, they are downplayed or they are ignored because she expects it to be done like how television is done. And likewise, men sometimes have expectations of how the women will behave or what they will do because of what they see in the romanticized versions of television and movies.
Okay, so do I hear you then saying that it could cause us to pursue an ideal of love and romance when we watch these reality shows and movies and read these Mills and Boom novels that always end with a Prince Charming, riding in on a white horse and saving the day.
Yeah.
So does it cause us now as adults to pursue this ideal of love and romance?
I think in some ways it does. The ideal is set by what they see, by the stereotypes that they see in the movies, or the messages that they hear. And the ideal is not necessarily what is realistic. It isn't according to perhaps the man's personality. It isn't how the woman was brought up. So when the partner isn't getting what they are seeing or what they're accustomed to in watching, what they're accustomed to in their real life, then they feel burdened, they feel under pressure to perform. They feel under pressure to be who they are not and what they're not comfortable with. And then when they're not communicating what their expectations are, or when they don't feel comfortable communicating how they feel about the pressure that they're under, then it can definitely throw the relationship kind of out of sync.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned expectations, because we have a lot of reality shows now about love and getting married at first sight and various variations of that. So does it cause us now to pursue this expectation from the other person that is unrealistic?
Sometimes it can, especially as I said, where a person wasn't brought up a certain way. You may find that some of these movies, or whether it is from even if it is from African background, for African culture, they don't necessarily identify with what is the Barbadian and the Barbadian experience, or the Caribbean experience, according to where our viewers are. So it can definitely cause conflict because expectations aren't clear, because people enter with certain expectations, and when they feel like these expectations aren't being met, then they feel like fish out of water, or they feel under pressure because it brings some kind of conflict. And because the couple aren't communicating, then or they're not communicating clearly what they expect or how they feel about how they're being treated, then it can definitely cause the relationship to be under some pressure.
Yeah, it's very important to do a lot of communicating, especially at the beginning stages, so that we're clear. I know where you stand, you know where I stand, what our expectations are. People tend to hide it and expect you to know what they like. If I like daisies or if I like roses, so then you send me roses but I like daisies, so it's important to communicate, and I think that's the foundation basically of what I hear coming through. So thank you so much for joining us once again on another episode of For Real. We look forward to having you join us again soon for some other exciting conversation. Thank you so much, Krisnan. It was a pleasure to have you.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye for now.
Yeah.